a little bit. I feel like I'm going to clear my throat right now. And I'm going to play this really calm piece, so I don't want to like cough during the piece. Welcome to the Percussion Discussion. Thank you so much for coming out. Thanks Crash and the class for the help setting up. Thanks Gary for doing some film. And thank you to Dave Schoepke and Tim Russell for joining me today. We're going to show you just different aspects of using percussion. I'm going to play video game themes on the vibraphone and marimba, and then you get a chance to ask questions at any point, and we definitely will open up at the very end before we do a trio for any questions you might want to ask about the way we use percussion, because it's a percussion discussion. Don't have a concussion. I think I'm blushing. You might notice this from Donkey Kong Country. If you don't know, just know that it represents an underwater level.
Invisibility.
Well, teleportation and invisibility? All right, let's leave it there. Otherwise we get into like a Superman where it's just Batman can't beat Superman. Okay, stop arguing. And, you know, maybe a name. What can we call this superhero with teleportation and invisibility?
Jeff.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Nice. I really like that.
Jeff.
Now I'm going to make up a piece right now, and it's improvised, but I'm going to try to think of invisibility and teleportation here with a Jeff. Like it's just name as Jeff, right? It's normal. I really do like that. It's like the Will Smith movie where there's a superhero who's kind of normal guy. So check it out. Let's see how close I get in your imagination. Very, very much. Oh, I hope you got what I was thinking there. It definitely was teleporting between the instruments, and then it definitely was like he forgot to turn off his invisibility power. And he's like, oh my! And they're like, Jeff? Oh! No. All right. Now this last one, what am I doing up here? I'm an instructor and I'm playing video game themes? What? I think I need a little bit of a costume change. I'll be right back. It's more fitting.
Yeah.
Made in the 80s. Some of us don't even know what the 80s were.
But we got Mario from Nintendo. This one's Dire Dire Docks from Super Mario 64.
You always gotta be like creating content, right? Yeah! Thank you so much for the complimentary applause. While we, What do you think? Should I just teach in video game t-shirts?
Yeah.
I should. Just put the badge on. Next up, we have Tim Russell coming onto the stage. But I guess right away I would say, is there anything someone would want to discuss at this point? Any questions about what I just did? Liz?
So how come you were playing both the marimba and the vibraphone? It's like a keyboardist that has all these keys. You had like your xylophone family all stacked up.
Yeah, I have to give the credit to a vibraphone artist named Stefan Harris. I would say he's one of my favorite vibraphone players. And he had the L set up. And I was like, right away, I want to try that. And then with all the Zooming and stuff with the pandemic, I started really experimenting. And like, okay, maybe I can put the root in the left hand and do melody in the right. And then I'm still working on it. But yeah, it was Stefan Harris inspired me to try that. Let's go with right next to
Darlene.
Darlene.
Is that like a piano keyboard, the notes?
Yeah, definitely.
It's the same like kind of sets?
Same layout, yeah. That second row, say that's called a manual, is the black keys on a piano. And then the ones that are closer together with no gaps are like the white keys on a piano. Liz?
What is that thing hanging on the end that looks like a hot air balloon? Is that for audio or is that an instrument?
That is a one-up sound.
Or a one-up. Here. In the video game, if you get an extra life, is this what you're talking about?
Yeah.
If you get an extra life, it plays that sound effect,
Oh.
and it's called a one-up because I think it just one-ups your life count.
Oh, there it is.
Ow!
Excellent toss.
No, you gotta give it back. We can arrange.
Should we let the 85-year-old nun hold it?
Sure.
Oh yeah, squeeze
Hey,
it
what
out.
else you wanna say?
Well, thank you very much for the questions. If you have another one, just tuck it away, and then we can talk about it later, or discuss it. Tim, you ready to rock? I feel like we met through unrehearsed. So it's an improvisatory group where we just get together and make up music on the spot, kind of like my second piece. I know I'm seeing Tim playing with dancers with this percussion mixed with modular synthesis setup. Is there anything else you'd like to say? I'll turn over the microphone to you. Tim Russell, everybody.
Yeah, so as you just said, I primarily am dealing of music through improvisation, so I'm constantly generating and making up material as we go, as I'm doing right now. And so what I'm going to show today is I'll navigate through some drums and electronics. I didn't bring my modular synth today just because I wanted to maybe focus on Ableton. And so I'm using this program called Ableton Live. And what that's going to do is we'll be able to run through a whole bunch of modifications of not only what I play live, but I'll also play like some electric only sounds kind of through it. And it's really kind of nice. It's a way of expanding your palette, and then you can be like a one-person performing artist with like a whole world of orchestrated sounds. Also, as Mike noted, that I actually primarily improvise with dancers. I'm the music director of the dance department at the University of Wisconsin, and so every day I'm improvising in dance classes and performing with dance. So a lot of what I do is thinking about kinesthetic experience, empathy, using gesture. I'm a trained percussionist, and I kind of thought about it that way, of when you're playing an instrument like marimba, you're covering so much real estate that you start to think about physical gesture and how that creates music. And so when I started working with dancers, it seemed to make a lot of sense to me. So we'll see if any of those themes or topics come out. And like I said, I'm just going to kind of navigate what's going on here. Also want to put a big shout out to Crash and the students, because you guys put in a ton of work to make this all happen up here. And I also know I have this really weird kind of kit, so it's kind of what is it? So I appreciate you putting up with the proclivities of that. So yeah, I'll play a little bit, and if there's questions, we'll talk about it and see what happens. yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of sounds to navigate in the world, everybody. And what's so really cool about using electronics and stuff is then that's like sounds are just your playground and you can be pulling stuff from whatever, where it's like, it could be this weird plate that I got at Goodwill, or, you know, some heavy metal music that I got, and I'm just gonna take very small samples of that, pull it into it, make it into a synthesizer, re-synthesize stuff, re-loop things back on myself. Yeah, I don't know if that brought up anything for anybody, or if you have questions, ideas? Yes?
So that like $100 Ableton sampler that you can buy at the Guitar Center can do all that stuff, or is it like an extended Ableton, or you bought all these extra voices, or how did you do it?
Well, you see, $100 would be great, but the unfortunate thing about Ableton is like you have to pay $700 for the program, and that's assuming that you have like $2,000 for a computer, and then you're going to spend at least $400 on an in-ear interface, and then $200 on the foot pedal, and then another $700 on the controller. So yeah, you can totally go and buy it, and that's not to say like talk about money, but you also have to talk about the entrance point into this, which is like crazy. You're going to spend a lot of money. The modular system that I have also costs a ton of money, and it's to say like this is a lot cheaper than modular in a weird kind of way. But yes, this is what you could go to Guitar Center, you could buy Ableton, and you can make all of this happen, assuming that you have a computer. Ableton, well, I don't work for Ableton. They also have a nice phone app called Ableton Note, and you can start composing stuff all on your phone. One of my favorite albums I'm listening to right now is an electronic album that the guy made it all on his iPhone, right? So it's like, the entrance points for electronics is actually pretty low, even though this seems like a crazy complex setup. So it just gets down to like, what are you maybe trying to accomplish, and then what, you know, are you doing to make that happen? My whole goal of this actual specific setup is like, I travel a lot to make music, and so like, all of my rig, besides drums, fits into a backpack that I can put on an airplane. So all of my choices have been along that line of like, cool, if I'm going to California, I want to be able to throw everything into my backpack. So I can take a backpack and a duffel bag and go wherever I need to create. You know, because there's other choices that can do a whole bunch of different stuff. Yeah, long answer, sorry. Yes?
If this is too personal, I hope not. That was fantastic.
Thank you.
When did you start? You're a far cry from Gene Krupa. I mean, he was wonderful, but my gosh, when did you start all this?
Yeah, and that's really good too to think about. Is like, you know, I started like, I actually have the memory of being in a department store and getting in trouble because I was playing on like the pots and pans in the department store. You know, so like when I was a kid, so like that's like my entrance point. And it just happened to be like, yeah, okay, I guess I should probably play the drums. But then you realize like, you know, there's like a really funny YouTube video probably from now, like 5 years ago, that's like, everything's a drum, everything's a drum. And it's like true, so you just walk around tapping on stuff and like hearing sounds. And like, I just have that kind of curiosity all the time of like, how does this thing sound? How can I make sound with this? So yeah, I've been doing this, you know, in that case, probably longer than I can remember. But then like this integration, I've probably been working on like drums and electronics, I don't know, at this point for like 20 years or something. So it's really like refined into this. And this is just one way of doing it too, that I presented here today. Yeah, I thought I saw a question in the back.
Oh yeah, right over here.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, because I heard you said that you sampled some metal.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if you prefer, like for your samples, do you prefer more of a like cleaner produced sound, or more of like the raw stuff that's just kind of like more, has a lot more interesting noises and overtones?
Yeah, and I think it depends situational, right? So like, you know, if I'm going to be doing, well, so let's think of exact examples. Like if I'm going to do professional sound design for like, you know, a company that needs something to be really clean, or if I do like commercial work for the university, like it's going to be really clean samples. It's going to have, you know, this kind of like niceness to it. But like if I want to do a noise set, yeah, I'm going to just take harsh noise and like do whatever I want with it. You know?
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, exactly, right? I just did a patch recently on my modular where it was honestly like putting a microphone right onto the speaker and running that through my modular and feeding it back, right? So it's just like, I mean, I have this whole other piece where, I mean, I'm honestly playing the room with a PA speaker, right? So you put a microphone in the room and I'm holding a PA speaker as loud as it possibly can go and pointing that speaker gesturally at different places in the room to get different resonances, right? So it's like, once again, that's that, going back to that last question, it's just about curiosity, you know? So it's like, oh, I'm really interested in sound. So it's like, whatever it takes, whatever my situation is, I'm just curious in how do I enter into that and make sound. You know, and like, honestly, I thought it was kind of funny today because I was like, oh, I wonder what I'm gonna do. And I think it was like, I saw, are you wearing a Slayer shirt? Yes, sir. See, you're wearing a Slayer shirt. And I was like, dude, I gotta do something with like metal. And so like, I was like, this is cool, this will freak people out. And so then I just was like, what do I have in my life? So that was samples of this band called Ion Dissonance, which is like early gen music. And so it was like, yeah, I'm just gonna pull some of that in and really fragment. And I was just doing that on the fly, like as stuff was getting, as like the mics were getting set up. Right, so that's like an improvisational nature. It's just being, I'm curious, I know how to do some manipulation stuff. Oh, that's my sound source, let's see what it has to offer. Cool, I went to the breakdown because it had all of these different cuts in it already, that I could take those micro grains of like bass drums and guitar stabs and one vocal like a right? And so it's like, yeah, now it's a sound, because to me they're just sounds in different contexts. I'm gonna remove it from that context and bring it in to like a different setup.
Absolutely, I thought your set was like one of the most creative things I've ever witnessed.
Thank you.
I'm always a fan of like more avant-garde sounds.
Yeah.
I appreciate what you did.
Yeah, there's like, I'm not alone, there's a ton of people that are doing this kind of stuff. Booker Star Drum is somebody that's really kind of cool that I'd like to put out there. Gosh, now I'm blanking. Who are the dudes that are in the 9MS? Okay, there's an album called 9MS. Check that out. Really good dual drums and electronics. Brian Chippendale from Lightning Bolt kind of does wild stuff with it. Yeah. Another question in the middle.
Yeah, are you relying on like visual cues in Ableton as you're performing your set, or is it all just auditory?
There is like a little bit of visual feedback that's good for me to know what's going on in the software. But for the most part, I'm trying not to. Like, it's just maybe I have like macros set up on the push twos. The push two has an LCD screen, so that I can see where stuff is. But for the most part, I'm trying to like rely on my ears and intuition like that. And you might have saw that the push itself, like it's changing what it looks like, which is good, because that's just it changing from being like a 64-pad sampler into something that's maybe mapped as an instrument. So it just has a bunch of different ways that it kind of operates. But for the most part, I'm really just trying to operate with sound. Yes?
How do you decide to work with dancers? Do they start, you start?
Yeah. That's situational too. It really is. So, like, did you get contracted to do the work? Is it the work that you were seeking dancers to do? Do you come together and have like, oh, we want to be really collaborative? But like somebody always kind of has to make something first in a way. And whether or not it's you both are in the room and somebody moves, or both in the room somebody says something, there always kind of has to be like a first. But it just really depends situational on what's going on with the project. Yeah.
Is this modern dance? Because don't they usually have like a piano doing the ballet stuff?
Well, there are, depending on your entrance points. I mean, yeah, like we could trace dance all the way back to working with just flat out drums, with working with just hue and voice in the body. And so contemporary practice keeps on flowing with that, and there's reactions to different points of entry. So like ballet was dealing more so with like classical music that was happening at that time, and now we kind of kept that as a thing. But like contemporary classical music or contemporary classical ballet even uses contemporary music. We'll be like using I even saw something recently that's like cigarettes or something, or like going back to the metal scene, there's a company in New York City that uses like Marilyn Manson and stuff, and that's how that's their entrance point. So it's like, it's not really so limited to say like, oh, you have to play drums. I mean, I did play a class once, and the teacher said, if you ever play piano in this class again, you're fired. And I was like, oh, shit. But you know, so that's what they brought into the space. That's not what the genre necessarily needs or wants. It's just like, that's what you bring in. So if somebody really likes these sounds, great. And I try to be versatile, and that's what's great about Ableton. It's like, yeah, you want piano? Great, I can play straight up piano on that thing. You know, or do you want me to sample cartoon noises? I can sample cartoon noises. Let's go. What do you want? I don't know, but it's fun. That's engaging for me. But it's a good question. It's really a good question. So like, yeah, the field is kind of open, and it just depends on people's entrance points and what they want to get out of their art and present with it. How are we doing on time? I mean, I'm really verbose, so I can just talk. Yeah. So I don't know, maybe one more question, or we'll move on. Yes.
Do you do any like shows in Milwaukee, or have you done openers for shows?
Well, and that's like, yeah, so I played a couple times at Woodland Pataroaks, or at the Jazz Gallery. I used to perform in Milwaukee fairly often. I used to live in Milwaukee. I just did a dance performance down in Walker's Point. But for the most part, I'm performing with dance. I'm currently working with my partner who's a dancer, and we're putting together like a duo show. So we might go and start performing in more like DIY spaces, which is kind of interesting because that's not really where dance occupies a lot. So we're looking to challenge what it means to be a dance performer a little bit. We're used to seeing dance on the proscenium stage in this place, not necessarily in a dingy basement where we're having a noise show. Right? So it's just kind of like, yeah, I do play out a little bit here and there, but just kind of like developing stuff. I also curate house shows at my place that's leaning towards avant-garde music and experimentation. So cool. Thank you so much for being great listeners and great questions. We'll bring up Dave Schoepke now. Thank you.
Mute the drums here. Okay, so the way this works, I'm going to start with the one that's closest where we're going to end up. So the next one's snare. Then the first tom. Good. Snare. He's going to start with fading down and only add on the C. No, and it's probably only you probably have to start with all the fading down. You're probably only going to be that. Give it a little bit more in the room. Yep. Is this going to be a bad phase? 1-2 inch spacing. You stand right. Here we take. Thank you very much.
Such different genres. Yeah,
This is the drums in the room. You want me to check it or no? Doesn't matter. No, he's going to do it on the fly. Like I said, I think we're just going to do a little drink and maybe some time. You want this mic? Hand that mic a little bit over there.
Well, hi everybody.
Hi.
I'm the third humanoid up here to do some stuff. So we're all kind of doing a little bit different things. My name is Schoepke. I'm from Milwaukee Area, and I've known these fellas for a while. And you know, we're approaching. You know, the three of us do all kinds of different things, as you probably can imagine, and I'm approaching things just a little bit different than these guys today. I'm just sticking to primarily drum set here, acoustic drum set. I do a little bit of processing and stuff like Tim does, but I'm not any good at it yet, so I decided to wait. Anyways, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to play a couple songs that are my compositions. I've been writing and recording my own drum set oriented music for the last couple of years. And kind of the intention behind what I do is to look at the drums maybe a little bit past as a support instrument. My albums, for the most part, are just drums. Playing themes with the drums tuned to relative pitches. I'm not really tuning to anything specific or to a note. My thought is finding intervals between the drums, and if it speaks to me in some sort of sense, then I work with those ideas. It gets a little challenging when you're writing songs and you have different tunings and such, so I kind of have to tune them a certain way for a performance and just go with that at the moment. So anyways, I'm going to play a couple of my pieces. Happy to take any questions along the way. And the first one I'm going to start out with is War of the Grasshoppers, if there could be one. I'd like to see it.
Why is your drum set translucent and the other one opaque? Does that affect the resonance, or it's just so
You know, that's a good question. Well, his are wood, and these are plastic. And these came out, these are from the 70s, but that was kind of a popular thing back then. You know, some people would argue that there's a big difference. I'm not one of those people. I think more has to do with the drum head choices and what you hit them with, and how you tune them, and the music that you're playing. I like these drums. I feel like they've got a good resonance. Part of the reason why I use them is because they have the sizes that I want for what I'm doing with my pieces. I do play other drums that are wood, and I don't get behind the wood drum set and go, oh, this is wood, I can tell a huge difference. I just pretty much tune them the same way, and they sound pretty much the same way to me. For most of my recordings, I use all different kinds of drums, wood or plastic. I've got metal stuff too. So I don't know. There are some people that are very adamant about, well, they're called Vistalites. They'll say, oh, that sounds like a Vistalite drum set, but then I've heard all kinds of recordings over the years where they were done by Vistalites, they were done on Vistalites, and they sound like wood drums to me, so I don't know. Anything else? Yeah, man.
Right here?
Yeah.
I'm I'm just wondering, like, I found what you were playing to be very interesting. Sorry, I
Thanks.
don't know how to talk right now, apparently, but,
I have the same problem.
yeah, but I'm just wondering, like, for your specific type of playing, do you see the drum kit as, like, almost like a pitched instrument? Just how the way you play because
Yeah, I mean, this is my poor man's way of trying to fall in line with what these guys are doing. You know, I can't play mallets very well, and most of my music theory and harmony is pretty minimal. I've played in lots and lots of bands in lots of different situations, and for me, I've always felt like a kinship to melodic instruments, but I've just never really spent the time developing a skill. So this is kind of my way to find my path into that without going through all the same scenarios to get there melodically. So to answer your question, yeah, I think so. If it's coming across that way, then yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Thank you. Thanks. Yes.
We have like a gong mallet in the drawer over there. Yours are pretty big. I never saw anybody play the drum with something that big before.
Yeah, these are there's all kinds of different mallets you can use and such. These are kind of a square head. I use these particular mallets. What I'm trying to do with drawing the sound out of the drums is to get as much tone out of them as possible, so that there's more sustain. There's no muffling on any of these drums, so like no padding or anything like that to keep the ring down. I want them to ring. I want as much note as I can get out of them as possible. So a very soft mallet is what I'm looking for some of these pieces. Some of the other ones I could play another one here with sticks. And the first one I played was with sticks too. But a lot of my recordings are with mallets, and it's just because I really don't want a lot of attack on the drums. So yeah. Do you have a question too?
Well, I guess it's I'll try to. You have a fantastic sense for rhythm. There's no doubt about it.
Thanks.
I mean, just looking at you too, as long as. How does that compare to the percussion that we heard before from a?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah, how do they compare?
Well, we're all hitting things, right? So, and I mean, every instrument has a percussive element to it. Really, it's somewhat more of it than others. If you think of it, I mean, if you're playing a saxophone, you have to press down. There's a percussive element to the all that. And you can play percussive. Rick will tell you, you play all kinds of percussive sounds out of the saxophone in different instruments. String players will hit the bow on their strings, and the attack of the way the bow comes down on the string. There's some relative percussiveness to that too, of course. So I think it's all related, for sure. We're playing rhythms. That's just like any instrument. There's rhythmic aspects to it, and the difference ultimately is that between what I'm doing and what they're doing. With Mike, he's doing 4 mallets, and that's a tuned instrument. So he's getting very specific notes and pitches. I'm getting some sort of variance to that. None of these drums are tuned to a specific note, but the pitches are relative to one another to create some sort of harmonic element, I guess. Does that make sense, Mike? Yeah, he's not exactly kind of. See, I've already spoken too much.
I have a question.
Yeah, man.
So I'm not a drummer at all, but I was taught like a quick and dirty way of tuning drums is to tune them to revelry. Are those the intervals you're talking about?
I've seen people do that. I do not. And for tuning for me, it's weird because some of the pieces I write, sometimes I sit down with a drum set and they be tuned from a gig before, and all of a sudden the pitches are speaking to me in a certain way, so that I like that. And that may have nothing to do with what I was, shooting for on other pieces. So, I mean, a lot of it for me depends on the music. So if I'm playing, for example, certain types of music that need to be, the drums need to have a lot of attack, and a lot of punch, well then I'm going to tune it lower, I might do some muting. Like this sort of tuning, I can only get away with on very rare situations for the most part. If I'm playing a jazz gig, this bass drum is enormous, I wouldn't use it for most things either. So, but yeah, with tuning, I mean, people go through all sorts of different ideas about that. I know that at times I think of kind of like maybe thirds, but if I'm using more drums, then sometimes I try different things. I try to get wider intervals.
Do you ever play Tiffany?
Yeah, I'm not good at that either. I have one as well, and I use it just for kind of ideas. Yeah, I've got a pretty minimal schooling in percussion, other than, you know, the basics. Most of what I've done, I've just done from listening and reading books on my own. But so my theory is minimal. But so that's my activity is not very good either. Anything else? Cool. All right. One more. Is that cool? All right. I'm gonna do one more piece. I'll use the snare. I've got 2 snares. I gotta use them. So this is what's that? Did I hit it out? I hit it a lot though, Mike. You were sleeping.
Oh yeah, first.
Sleeping, Mike. It's your fault for sleeping. This piece is called Nging, N-G-I-N-G. It's the first audible syllabic sound my son made. So somehow I remember. I wrote it down. I gotta get him in there. any last questions or anything before we bring the other two mutants up here? Mutants, drumming, percussionists. Yeah.
The way you roll down that snare impressed me so much. I think that was the greatest snare roll I've ever heard in my life.
Well, thank you. There's all kinds of great expositions of that out there in the universe, I'll tell you that. But thank you. Second from the back. I'll get you in the back in a minute. Yeah. Yep.
If you could give a tip to improve for a musician that's not a drummer to improve their rhythm, what would that be?
To improve your rhythm. Well, I mean, it's a good idea to learn how to play to a metronome. I mean, I know when I first did it, I asked my mom for a metronome. I think when I was a junior in high school. It took me that long to get to one, so that should tell you a lot. And she got it for me, and I said, Mom, something's wrong with this thing. Oh yeah. In fact, I stopped using it for a while because I thought it was broke. That's how dumb I was. Yeah, and then, I went back at it, I thought, gosh, this thing can't be busted. I didn't drop it. And then I started going after it a little bit more, and I was like, oh, wow. I should have done this a long time ago. So I think playing to a click is a good idea, and especially these days, so much more of music is predicated on those elements that exist in recorded music. You're recording to a keyboard or to a computer all the time, and it's so easy to get put on the grid. So I can say, honestly, from musicians that I know that are not drummers that have great time, they practice to a click. So there you go. And back again.
This is kind of reaching, but I want to ask if you guys have considered or thought about working together on one song.
We're going to do it right now.
Really?
Yeah. That's why they're here. Once I stop talking, we're all going to play.
I have one question.
Yeah.
If it's all right.
Of course.
Did you choose your second snare based on how it went with the tone of your primary snare?
No, I chose it based upon it costing $50.
Good deal.
And actually the drum that my primary one I'm using and borrowing from a buddy. Were they blending okay? Did you think they?
Oh yeah, fine. I was just wondering if that was a factor in your choice.
No. Again, back to tuning and stuff. It's like, and I'll make this quick. I was able to sit in on an interview with the drummer from King Crimson and yes, Bill Bruford. I was able to sit in the room while these guys interviewed him, and they were specifically asking him about the gear that he used and why he played what he did and why he used these drums throughout his career or whatever. And I thought it was fascinating to hear him say firsthand, he's like, I don't care what the drums are made of. He literally said, I don't care if they're wood, I don't care if they're plastic, I don't care if they're metal. It's like, all I care about is if I can tune it the way I want, and if they're going to hold up for the gig, I'm going to play. And if they're going to be in the country, I'm going to be in when I'm traveling to and stuff like that. But I thought it was interesting because he's a guy that's really known, if you guys know who he is, Bill Bruford, he's really known for his sound and being able to get all kinds of very different sounds and unique sounds of electronics and stuff. And when I heard him say that, it reinforced to me, okay, is the piece of gear workable, right? I mean, Tim's got an upside down drum set over here, for God's sakes. Anything can work. It's just how what's your vision? How do you tune it? What's your plan? And for me, I hauled gigantic drums out of my basement in spring because I can still carry them for now. But I think at some point I'm not going to be doing that. So, at least smaller, I'll be hauling that. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody? Yeah, man.
So, the pieces that you write, do you have drum scores or are they all just by memory?
They're by memory. And I'm modifying them as I go. And I haven't done a lot of solo shows. So, for me, when I'm recording them, generally, I'll start with an idea, and I'll take that idea and maybe record 3 or 4 versions of it. Some of it's inspired, maybe like I said before, by I've got a certain tuning set up on the drums. Some of it's based upon I might have a rhythmic, pattern or have a melody in my head, and then I might go after that. But no, I don't write anything out. And I have read that that's a bad idea to record that way and compose that way. So I don't know. So far, it's working okay for me. But
You read that it's bad for percussionists specifically, or?
yeah, I just read somebody saying, if you're going to compose, get off your instrument, and that's. I mean, I never thought about it like that. But my reading and writing is not really very advanced. I mean, I can do it, but I feel like I write better when I'm on the instrument. So, anybody else? Okay, we're going to blow up the stage now. So, here we go.
Let's give it up for Crash one more time for making that happen. Jared, let's go with the hi-hat mic as well.
thanks for coming out to the Percussion Discussion. Thank you, Crash and the class. And thank you, Gary from Film. Thank you to Dave and Tim. Come on down, ask more questions. Dave has CDs with him. I have some merch up here. Come and grab a free sticker. And have a great day. Thanks, everybody.
Alright, let's tear it down. Sound enforcement, I know it's 2 o'clock and technically your class is over, but if you can stay for a few minutes to help wrap up, that would be a wonderful thing. The worst thing about that is
Turn the speakers off first.
No. Yeah. It's just that switch there that's turned off. We're still on. Get those subs. Get rid of one. Alright, remember what we're going to do is we're going to unplug all the mics. We're going to leave them on the stand. We're just going to take the mics on the stands and put them out here in the center.